Hey everybody, this is a GFQ special. We're going to be doing a bunch of these over the summer. Jessica's here with me.
Hi.
Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
So some people may know, some people may not. I may or may not have a drinking problem. Some of the viewers have accused me of this. And I'm a fan of beer, big fan of beer. Just knows. You've been with me for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And how many times have you come home and seen me passed out on the couch with beer?
I only know of 2 instances where I haven't come home to that.
Exactly. But we have, and it's most of the time not good stuff. We're talking about the cheap stuff. But we have Jacob here. Some of you may remember Jacob, the beer expert, the expert that caused me to run out of the room at Blog World to test these great beers from Stone Brewing Company.
It was an ambitious move.
I ran out the door. I had to. You said I had no idea there were good stuff there.
Yeah.
And you're here all the way from San Diego.
That's right.
So you guys made the trip here. Tell me a little bit about Stone Brewing Company. If you told us at Blog World, tell us again for the audience that missed it.
So Stone Brewing Company was founded in 1996 in San Diego. And we're known primarily for making big character beers.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
So beers with a ton of flavor. They're generally higher in alcohol. They're not really like low-key traditional beers.
Okay.
These are aggressive American beers.
Yeah.
That are really part of what craft beer is all about. Creativity, big flavor, about as far as you can get from fizzy yellow beer.
What is there a difference in the process of making, the cheaper stuff that you buy in any store and you see, everybody drinking, and this? Is the process different? Is that what makes it different?
Yeah, definitely. So the process is different, and the quality of taste of the people making it is different. So, with the cheap stuff, they're using a lot of adjuncts, things like corn and rice, corn syrup, extracts of various ingredients, things like that. It's basically like the fast food version of real food. You're getting like the cardboard, plus flavoring version of beer.
Interesting.
Whereas any craft brewery, us included, it's going to be all malt for the fermentable sugar in the beer. There won't be any rice or corn generally. And you're using, hops that are actual hops from the ground. Most people aren't.
And
flavored.
Opposed to, what are they?
Like a hop extract. So it's almost like hop flavoring on some level.
So it's not even, that's interesting that they're using flavoring and extracts and it's not actual. So what, is it an actual beer? I mean, if they're not using.
Well, it's sort of, I like to say, other than the word beer, we really don't have anything in common with the people making fizzy yellow beer.
It's not the same thing.
Yeah, I really don't put it in the same league. People don't generally drink it in the same way, and I think it's a very different type of experience.
You mean to tell me I can't drink about 20 of these?
You're probably capable of it. I definitely wouldn't recommend it though.
I mean that's what people think when they think beer, right? You go and you go to a bar, you get the $3 glass or whatever, and you just keep pounding them all up. But these are specialty beers. These are not the everyday beer that you buy. You could drink this every day, and I suggest you do because they're amazing from what we tasted at Blog World. But it's totally different world.
Yeah, it's a completely different experience, and we are trying to change the perception of beer too. Beer should not be a throwaway product. It shouldn't be something that people disrespect. Beer should be phenomenal. It should be a great experience to drink. And ultimately, beer is an alcoholic beverage like any other, but it's kind of painful to watch people disrespect beer by getting picture after picture of tasteless, horrible stuff and just pounding it. It's like, it's not what I think beer should be about. So.
Because, the 4th of July is here, and it's a day that many people go out and they get, the typical beers. I'm not going to name them because, we're talking
names.
We're not naming names except for Stone Brewing Company.
Right.
But
I'm happy to name names positively. I can name other great craft breweries that I love and respect, but I'm not going to trash talk specific.
So
breweries.
they started in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
What was the reason they started? What's the story behind it? Because that has to be interesting to go and start a brewing company and start making your own beer.
Well, sure. In the mid 90s, there was a kind of a boom of what we then called microbreweries, and it seemed like everybody was starting a brewery. And we're going through that a little bit again today, but fortunately people are focused more on quality. So the founders of Stone Brewing Company were two guys who had met through the music industry. One was a musician, and the other owned a rehearsal space. And they met at a beer tasting class. Okay. And, they sort of talked about it for a while, and Steve Wagner, who was our founding brewmaster, decided that he wanted to become a brewer. He started as a home brewer, then became a professional brewer.
How do you become a brewmaster? I mean, how much
You're just obsessing over the name, aren't
I
you?
am,
you
the
just like
brewmaster.
Right.
Because I would like to become the brewmaster.
Is it
Right.
like, becoming like a black belt at a certain degree? Like, so you have to wait a certain amount of years?
Yeah.
And you can't
Is it like
add a third
Taekwondo?
degree?
I mean,
Can I start at 4 and get my brewmaster degree by 7? I mean,
I'll tell you what. I'll knight you as a brewmaster.
that's
if
excellent.
you-
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, much like a black belt, you could start your own dojo and give yourself a black belt if you wanted to. But really, to be a brewmaster, you have to be the chief brewing dude at a brewery.
Chief brewing dude.
Yeah, so that's the less formal title we use sometimes. But yeah, I mean, generally, brewmasters have gone to school for this.
Yeah,
there's a lot involved there. But yeah, I mean, there's a big spectrum on brewmasters. It goes all the way from being someone with tons of experience, years of work in great breweries, to someone who's making very small quantities of beer for the first time. So
yeah.
It's much like a captain. If you bought a boat, you would be a captain. So.
I can't wait for that. We need to get a boat.
I like it.
So he started off on his own, doing it at home. The only example that really comes to mind is the Drew Carey show.
Right.
When they started Buzz Beer.
Yeah.
They started their beer company in their garage.
Ironically, that would be, that of course is completely illegal, but the caffeinated beer concept, right, ended up becoming its own monster.
Yeah,
and
now,
we had,
right?
All those brands, the caffeinated beers, or not beers.
What are they? Like
caffeinated malt liquor.
Malt liquor, yeah.
Or progressive.
I
malt
had one of those.
Did you? How'd that go?
I guess I could say the name. I had the Four Loko.
Sure.
It was single-handedly the most awful thing I've tasted.
It was so bad.
If the devil had a flavor,
yeah,
that would be it.
Wow.
It was the most disgusting thing I've ever tried in my life.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody drinks that.
What flavor did you get though?
Well, I got watermelon.
Dragon tears or whatever. The fuck?
Dragon dead baby. That was the flavor. The Casey Anthony.
Yeah.
It was. I had watermelon, which was a little bit better, and then I had like fruit punch, which was not fruit punch.
You would ask, why did you go back for a second flavor?
Because I had no Stone Brewing Company.
Maybe that's what it was.
This was some like on-air experiment you were conducting, I hope.
Oh, no.
Not
It was
just
after.
a personal choice.
It was way after. No, it was really awful. It really. Have you tried them?
I have tasted them. I've never completed a 29-ounce can.
They're
or
so
the hell
strong.
Yeah,
they're because there's 12% alcohol,
right.
And beer. What you're talking about 5% with some stuff.
Yeah, that's sort of an entry level.
Yeah.
I mean, we make stronger beers, but the difference is that like they make those drinks super sweet, so it really masks the alcohol in them. So by the time you realize how strong they are, it's because you haven't already consumed a ton of it rather than because it tastes that way. I got
and we have a couple drinks on the show now and then on Thursdays, but I've never gotten drunk. I was drunk before the show started. I felt, and this is about
colorful.
3 weeks ago. I was drunk and I knew I said, oh my God, and it hit me like 8:05, 5 minutes in, and I hadn't had much. I was like, oh, this is funny. I'm gonna taste it. Ha 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 ha.
Right.
And I had about half of it, and I didn't think it was that strong. And I'm like, wow, I really feel drunk. And I was starving that day. I don't remember a thing
like
from the show. Did I sound drunk?
I don't even remember.
Because I was so aware of it.
You made everyone around you drunk too.
Yeah.
I think I was so aware of it where I kind of protected it and I was talking to other people. And every couple of times I'm like, man, I feel really drunk from this stuff. But, that's like crap stuff in reality. You guys.
You're making me thirsty here, by the way.
I know. Well, we're going to open them up in a little bit. How did they start? Like, what was the first flavor they started with? What was the first type? I wouldn't say flavor because that's the wrong term. Style.
So the very first beer they made was Stone Pale Ale, which I think at Blog World you said that was the best beer you'd ever had.
That was
you?
That was
you.
me.
Okay. And if I remember correctly, you said you were not a beer drinker.
I hate
No.
beer.
Right. So
She just discovered one that she likes.
Yes.
Which we're not going to name names.
Right.
But you did find one that you like, and
Yes.
you realize that you like them if they're a little citrusy.
Okay.
You like that taste.
Excellent. We've got some beers for you tonight.
Yeah.
Then.
Excellent.
You like that flavor. Well,
Yeah.
I like that stuff too. I like a more traditional flavor.
Right.
But I did enjoy. I mean, all of them were good. There was one that was very. There was a heavier one. I forgot.
There was
the
one that was like almost like chocolate. Like it was dark.
The
dark,
Stone
dark.
Smoke Porter.
Yeah.
Which I think you liked and you didn't like.
I
No, it's
like
probably
it.
the
No,
other
the
way
other way
around.
around.
Yeah.
Okay.
which I
Yeah.
really like that one.
And then I think Stone IPA though, which is one of our most popular beers. That's a much more bitter beer, and I think you weren't super excited about that one, if I remember correctly. But it's super citrusy, so maybe you did.
You
I
might have liked it.
I don't remember.
Well, we're
Yeah.
gonna test
We're
a
gonna have
couple
to
of them.
There's
revisit
a
that.
lot of beer that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's gonna be more beer tonight. So.
Yeah. I don't remember.
So what was the first style that they came up
Stone
with?
Pale
Stone
Ale.
Pale
And
Ale.
that-
That
yeah.
was the one.
That was the first one, and then after that it was Stone IPA, and then Arrogant Bastard Ale, which is kind of its own thing.
Mhm.
It was,
But it's still part of the Stone Brewing Company.
It is part of Stone
Yeah.
Brewing Company, but it's even when it was first brewed, it was so radically different from anything else that was around that it really kind of needed its own little world. To
In
live
what
in.
sense? What made it so different?
There really wasn't anything else out there like it, and actually the main beer enthusiast website, which is beeradvocate.com, had to create a separate category, a new style just for
Wow.
that beer, which is now called American Strong Ale. And there are now a lot of American Strong Ales.
But they were the pioneers of
Arrogant
this.
Bastard Ale was the first.
Wow, that's
'cause
amazing.
It really didn't fit any other category. There was
love the
nothing
name.
else to put it in.
Arrogant Bastard.
I
It's a
totally
perfect
love
name.
the name.
So how does
like it.
how does the tasting work? Now,
Mhm.
Is it much like wine tasting? Because we want to do it right. We want
Right.
to taste this, and we want to do it proper. I don't want to sit there and just pound them down.
Sure. Well, we have an ice bath here,
Okay.
of bottles, and 4 chilled champagne glasses. So we're well
Are they-
on our
are they
way.
chilled?
6.
6 chilled champagne
Yes.
glasses. So we're very close to it. This is as
Yes.
professional we get at the GFQ
Yeah,
Network. He walks in. He's like, "Where the hell am I? Where is this light coming from?" You actually just looked for the light.
Yeah. Well, even
Like the
in,
North
in
Star.
broad daylight,
Yeah.
it's like
It's-
the surface of the sun in this room. So.
So let's open some up. Let's
All right.
try them out.
We'll do it right. So basically, the idea, if you're doing a tasting, is you don't want to start with the most aggressive beer you've got, because that's gonna sort of wreck your palate, right? You want to
Mhm.
start on the lower end
The
as
lower
far as flavor and alcohol, and then work your way up.
Okay.
Sounds
And
good.
generally, if you have darker beers and lighter beers, or hoppy beers and maltier beers, which means bitter versus sweet, you want to kind of rotate those. You don't want to do one bitter beer after the other, because it's all going to sort of start to taste the same
Okay.
eventually. So
Should we have some sort of like palate cleanser?
Yeah,
like a
if there are
sorbet?
crackers or bread would be ideal. Alternatively, seltzer water is really good palate
we have
cleanser.
seltzer?
We don't have seltzer, but I think we do have bread.
We have hamburger buns.
That will be fine.
That'll work.
I will be back.
Yeah. Go get them, Jess. You go
Awesome.
get the stuff. We have hamburger buns. I think it's potato bread. I don't even think it's real bread. Is it real bread? So that would cleanse the palate, so
Yeah.
you're able to taste the other ones.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you really want to go nuts with it, you can also get like a jar of coffee to sniff.
Okay.
Because that sort of empties your sinuses of whatever smells were in it before. But, you can sort of dial it in based on, wow,
Okay.
it's hamburger bun delivery
It's
service.
actually a hot dog bun.
Wow. All right.
So
Awesome.
a hot dog bun.
I would cleanse my
If you
palate.
had told me,
I'm
what you
sorry.
asked for was a bucket of ice
Right.
and glasses.
Well,
I
wasn't-
gave you the bucket of ice
Indeed.
and the glasses.
I don't know if I'd call it a bucket, though. It looks
Listen.
like a potpourri container or something.
I think it is a potpourri container. You got that from Crate and Barrel.
Yeah.
That's where it's from.
Yes. But I had the 2 items that you told me about. You
Indeed
did
you
not
did.
tell me about crackers or seltzer or bread, which is why we have hot dog buns. Getting ready for our GFQ barbecue on
hot dog
Sunday.
buns are actually perfectly acceptable.
Okay.
That will do.
All right. So, Jess, do you
Yes.
want to pour them out? How do you want to do this?
I
You want to
think-
be?
I think
He
should
has
do
to
it.
pour them out. Okay.
He doesn't have to, but I.
What are you demanding this poor man?
I'm
do?
not demanding anything. If you'd like me to do it, I'm more than
I think you
capable. But I
should.
think that he should, since
Okay.
he's the one telling us about it.
I can play the Vanna White role.
Okay,
Right.
you will play the Van of White roll. So, can you please pass him over some of the glasses?
All right. Am I allowed to get out from behind?
Yes,
this
you could get out of
microphone?
here. You
God,
could-
It's
you-
like I'm strapped in.
It's miserable. People, this is where people come to die. Actually, this is the worst. This is the last thing you see. Just a giant microphone in your face. So we're gonna test these beers. I'm really curious to see how it is because at Blog World, I think I had drank some other stuff before. So we all had, and by this point in the afternoon, I was a little drunk. So let's see. So this one is what?
Can you guys hear me talking?
Not at all.
No, not at all. So we'll wait.
Give me 2 seconds. What are you trying to do?
So he's pouring us champagne glasses filled with beer, and looks like caramel.
It does. It's very
Right?
dark.
The
it's
color of
yeah,
caramel.
it's a caramel.
About the color of caramel, right? What did you say?
Like a lighter Pepsi.
Okay,
I don't know.
I'm
not doing
sure
this.
that Jacob loves that comparison.
Yeah, he loves hearing it's a lighter Pepsi.
Right.
So Jacob,
Okay.
what is this one?
All right. Good God, these microphones are everywhere. This place is booby trapped.
Welcome to our studio.
So this is a collaboration beer. So
Okay.
we like to do beers with other breweries.
Okay.
We're not all about us. We're also about the entire craft beer
Sure.
world. And we love working with other breweries because we're beer nerds and we like drinking other beers.
Yeah.
So we brewed this beer with 2 other breweries from San Diego called Green Flash Brewing Company and Pizza Port Brewing Company. And the beer is called Highway 78 Scotch Ale.
Okay.
So a Scotch Ale,
Which I've never had. I've never had a
excellent.
Scotch Ale.
I'm
Yeah,
glad
me
to
neither.
be taking your Scotch Ale virginity here.
Nice.
It's a maltier beer, which means it's on the sweeter side.
Mhm.
So we're known for making really hoppy, aggressive beers, and this is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. And our collaboration series is where we kind of like to mix it up and do things differently. So
Mhm.
it's kind of the perfect opportunity to do something unique. And so these beers generally are a little bit higher in alcohol. I forget what we clocked in on this one. This is 8.8% alcohol.
Okay, so it's a little
So
bit
it's pretty
high.
strong.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't taste like overwhelmingly alcoholic. It should be a pretty smooth, sweet beer, but with a lot of like dark fruit flavors and some good complexity. So
Okay.
let's give it a try. And
So
don't
let's
forget
try.
to smell it first.
Smell first.
Now, is there a rule in terms of like in wine where you swish it around your mouth and you gargle kind of?
So I've heard a bunch of different people say, that you should do the wine thing, essentially the swirling and the gargling and the whatever. And it's kind of up to you how intense you want to get about it. I think
Sweet.
the most important thing is smelling it first because, as I mentioned at Blog World, 60% of what we experience as taste is actually smell.
Okay.
And so when we drink something out of a bottle or a can, you're not getting any of that smell, any of that sensory experience. And so it's really important to put it into a glass where you're going to be able to smell the beer. And then, as far as taste goes, make sure it covers all the bases inside your mouth. And then,
Okay, so I'm
Faces
gonna
inside of our mouth.
yeah, let's not read too much into that comment.
This one, I'm going to be off, but it has almost like a smokiness.
Smokiness. Okay.
No,
I don't
no,
taste smoke.
What do you taste?
I taste sweet.
It's a little, yeah, it is
Yeah.
sweet.
I taste sweet, like almost like maple syrup.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what?
Okay.
Are we off?
No. Well,
What
the
are we
smokiness
supposed-
is
the
totally
smokiness-
wrong. Yeah.
You're off.
Yeah,
I'm
off.
right.
I'm
So
off.
I actually feel like we're in that scene from Ghostbusters at the beginning. When he's like, yeah, actually everything you're saying is just, that's just the wrong answer. But you've got it right over and over again. There shouldn't, in all seriousness, there shouldn't be any smoke qualities to it. But
No, it's a sweeter.
you know
it's
what you're
a
tasting?
thicker, sweeter taste.
Right before he came, you had
I did have a hamburger.
The Smoky
There you
Delight
go.
hamburger.
I did.
No, seriously, he had a Smoky Delight hamburger and it had like smoked
barbecue sauce
on it.
That
That's
might
what
have been
tasting.
it.
That can certainly
Should
have an
brushed
effect.
your teeth.
Yes, you should have done a thorough palate cleansing.
palate cleanse.
Yeah, a power washing of your entire mouth.
Courtesy of
time
Stone,
to drink from the
Stone
fire
Brewing
hose,
Company.
Andrew.
They come out, they just spray you down.
I like it.
So what's in here? What are we tasting?
So you're tasting primarily the malt. So malt is barley that has been sprouted and then roasted to varying degrees of light or darkness.
Yeah.
And then the darker it is, the more the darker the color of the beer, and also generally the sweeter what it contributes to the beer. Although you can take it farther to the opposite end of the spectrum and get like burnt or charred or roast flavors out of malt as well. And so malt really is what the body of the beer is going to be about.
But it's not a heavy beer.
Right.
I wouldn't consider this to be heavy. I would.
Yeah, this isn't the kind of beer you could stand a spoon up in. This is more, it's definitely rich and full, and there is sweetness certainly, and there's some complexity to that malt as well. But it's also not like overwhelmingly heavy. Yeah. And it's a little deceptive with the alcohol. I think that it's hard to tell. This is 8.8%.
I imagine this to be very heavy before I tasted it. Yeah. Because the color, it's a darker color, but it's not. It's not a heavy beer. Right. Jess, what do you think?
I thought it was going to be really, really heavy, like a very heavy beer, and I hate heavy beers. This doesn't taste like a heavy beer though, so it's not awful or bad in terms of as far as beer goes.
There's a ring
endorsement. Just not. I know, really. Like you should put me on your website. I just am not such a beer drinker.
Stone Brewing Company.
So this is even.
It's not awful.
It's not awful.
Listen, I think it should be your new slogan. That's my 2 cents. Well, I think that it's it's definitely not something that I would like pick up and drink on a daily basis, just because it's a little heavier than I would.
How about with a cigar?
Well, I'd have to take up smoking first.
Yeah.
Well, I can see this. I could
as soon as I take up. No,
this is.
Cigars,
I could drink this with a
this.
cigar. I could have a cigar and drink this.
How about in a plush leather chair
in a
library?
Really, an old leather chair,
like a smoking jacket.
Yeah, wearing a smoking jacket.
I never understood why they wore a smoke. What is that?
Because it's cool.
Because it's cool. You wear a smoking jacket.
Makes you look dashing.
Yeah, dashing. That's exactly what I want to be. I want to be dashing. So I like this a lot, actually.
You don't have to love it, though. That's the thing is Stone puts out about 20 to 25 beers a year, so you don't have to love every single one. And the reality is that we make beer that not everyone likes. And
now, do you make what's the year round? What's the seasonal? Are all 20 of them in?
No. So 8 of them are year round.
Okay.
And then we do several special releases that are released at the same time every year. And then we do a bunch of collaboration beers, which come out whenever we feel like it. And then we also do variations on our beers. We do versions of our beers with Belgian yeast, or we add various herbs and spices to them just to see how it'll turn out. And then we do a ton of sort of one-off versions of our beers that we do in casks, which are the traditional British serving vessels for beer with different hops and things like that. So we try to do a lot of experimenting. It keeps us interested in what we're doing, and fans that get to try these small batches of beer really love them. So
there is a like almost like a cult following, right?
Oh,
behind the brands and behind the certain flavors.
It's way Star Trek.
It's out there, huh?
Oh, yeah, and I know because before I started working for Stone, I was just a hardcore beer nerd.
Okay.
I didn't come out of a marketing background or whatever or anything. I was just a nut for beer, and I know that community really well. And it's.
How did you get into it? How did you become? Everybody starts off with like the regular crap stuff, but I'm sure that's not what turned you on to beer, and you said, "Wow, this is great, horrible beer. I want to test something else."
Yeah, it was just, this is great, horrible beer. Yeah. I definitely have not uttered those words. No, I went to school here in New York, and I was fortunate to have access to Brooklyn Lager, which was the first craft beer I ever had. And, that sort of started me on the path, and then from there I got really excited about Belgian beers. There are so many phenomenal Belgian beers out there. There's a bar in Chicago that I used to go to that would, just had an amazing selection. I was really lucky to have access to it. And then from there, it just kind of took off. And I think what really did it for me was when I started home brewing. So when you start making your own beer,
Are you a hop master?
Are you
or a brewmaster?
Are you a brewmaster?
Brewmaster Flex?
Yeah, or dragon slaying brewmaster,
Okay.
one or the
Dragon
other.
slaying
All of the above.
The
brew-
hop master.
The hop master.
What is he
the
producing
Easter Bunny? I don't know.
The Easter Bunny.
Apparently.
Does the Easter Bunny brew? I don't know. Is that a thing?
He could.
Where did that come from?
Well, what does he do the other 300?
Yeah,
364 days
That's
a
the
year?
time he's making hooch. That's what the Easter Bunny's doing.
That's what he's doing. He went
Sorry.
for Stone.
It's hysterical.
But yeah, I think once you start making your own, it really becomes easy to become really interested in what goes into the beer, the methodology behind producing it, and then you get really obsessive about finding small batch beer that you can't otherwise get. And then, suddenly you find yourself 50 pounds overweight and standing in line with everybody else at 6 a.m. for somebody to sell you a bottle of $30 beer.
Oh,
Not that happened to me, really.
Oh my
Right.
god.
Yeah. No, but it's an awesome community.
It's a culture.
It's definitely a culture.
And you guys aren't doing it to just get drunk off,
No, I mean,
You can.
Sure, I'm sure there are some that use the phenomenal world of beer as an excuse to drink a lot.
A sophisticated drinker.
Sure.
I could be that, Jess.
Yeah, it's really something to
You
aspire
could
to.
as you chew on your hamburger bun.
My hamburger bun. I could be that guy.
We may have a ways to go with you on that.
Well,
And you also don't have any sense of taste.
I also finished a bottle of Blue Label in 3 days.
Yeah,
In my bed alone.
that's true.
I got a bottle of Blue Label for my birthday.
I don't even know what that is.
You
Johnny.
don't know what Blue Label
Johnny,
is?
Oh.
Johnny Walker.
Well, isn't that $300 a bottle or some crazy amount?
Yeah, some crazy amount.
God.
A very, very nice person gave it to me.
Yeah.
So I drank it in about 3 days. And when I told him this, he yelled at me. He goes, I'm hoping you drank it like there was something going on. I said, no, I was in bed. And I drank it out of the bottle.
Oh,
Sometimes I watered it
Such
down with
disaster.
ice.
you're killing me. Well, the ice thing isn't too bad. I mean,
1 or 2. I mean, I had 5 in these. But that was like at the
That's-
end of the night when
that's
I'm
quite
like, I got to get
unfortunate.
through this.
Right.
But you would come home every night and I
You
was
might
drunk.
have to work the steps at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. I might.
We might have to go to that point.
So onto the next
So
beer.
here's your
All
hot
right.
dog bun, Jacob.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my palate
your
cleansing
palate.
potato bread hot dog.
Is it potato
It's not
And I
potato
got,
bread.
I got
It
the
is-
butt of the bun.
You do.
Just FYI.
I'll take the butt.
No, too late. I already taken a bite out of it.
It's not a bad
Mm.
hot dog bun, actually.
Delicious.
And Patridge Farm.
All right, so I think we're gonna need a dump bucket
Okay.
because I'm thinking we're not gonna drink all this.
Okay. So what should we do?
Glasses, so we don't,
You want? Well, we should dump
Or
it
maybe
somewhere.
Andrew
we
should
dump it somewhere.
you should just dump it down your gullet. I
Here
think.
we go.
Right. I don't have a dump. Oh dear.
Radically unnecessary.
Yeah, really.
That's- all right. Is there a vase or something somewhere? That we
Flower
could-
vase, really?
We can put it in here.
That's
The
Is
kitty
that-
cat mug. Yeah.
Is that big enough?
yeah.
That's plenty.
We can put it in my. I love my beer mug.
There you
No,
go.
no, don't put it in that. That's my coin. That's where I put my coins.
I say we put it in the coin thing, and
Yeah.
then you drink it. At
And
the
then I
end.
drink it out.
Yeah.
All right. So let's dump it in there.
This is gonna last.
And you can get all the information at stonebrewingcompany.com. That's the
No,
website.
no, stonebrew.com.
Stonebrew.com.
And you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/stonebrewingco.
And Twitter.
And on Twitter, we are at Stone Brewing Co.
Yeah. 31,000 followers.
Yep.
That's
And
great.
on Facebook, we have, what are we up to, 105,000
No way.
likes, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
We broke 100,000 a few weeks ago. Very proud moment for me. When I started at Stone a year and a half ago, we had 18,000. And in a mere year and a half, we got up to.
How did you guys do it?
I'm just that charming. I mean,
Are you the guy behind it?
I am the guy behind it. I have no other explanation for it other than, my fantastic good looks and my silver tongue.
Yeah.
That's it.
He's
There's
also a hop master.
There's
He's
no,
also
yeah,
a hop-
and
And
being
that
a
doesn't
hop
hurt.
master. Yeah, I have no explanation. I mean, in reality, we provide the content that I think people want to hear. And we
And
try to make it funny.
4,100 check-ins.
Yeah, but that number changes at random. It's kind of
Does
weird.
it?
Sometimes it goes up and down. I don't know how they measure that. I think it's on a weekly basis or something. I'm not sure. The brewery and the restaurant attached to it, the Stone Brewing World Bistro and Gardens, is the third largest tourist attraction in San Diego County.
Really?
Yeah, after SeaWorld and Legoland.
That's
So we get a lot of people.
a lot of the parents just want to be drunk.
Well, after Legoland, I think people need a
Legoland
drink.
is awesome.
Yeah. I actually have no idea. I've never been to either one.
No,
I've never been to
either. I just lied right there, Jacob. You caught me in a bad lie.
Completely full of it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get the next beer going here.
Okay, so now what are we moving into?
We're moving into Arrogant Bastard.
Okay, that was a good stuff.
We're having arrogant.
Astard?
I was gonna say asshole.
Are you drunk?
That's not the name. Arrogant Bastard is the name.
All right, this was the big bottle. Yeah, this is the one that I drank all by myself.
Well, I'm pretty sure there'll be some extras for you.
All right, so
It's a little. Don't put some. He's gonna get wasted.
yeah, I'm gonna be drunk.
Yeah, just a sip.
That's the best part when Jessica's telling you not to encourage me into my drinking.
Just a sip. It's not a sip.
All right, so again, this is a dark one too.
Jacob's sip.
This
is what he considers a sip. Hop masters are not good at figuring out.
Brewmaster, Jess.
I like hop master better.
Okay, then he's the hop
All right,
master.
so enough with the dark beer thing, because let me debunk something.
It's a little. I mean, the color is darker than most.
The color of the beer has absolutely
this
no
smells
relationship.
lighter.
Yeah, it has no relationship at all to how full the beer is, how much alcohol is in it, how strong it is. I could make you a beer that was 2% and essentially diet black.
So it's a myth that it's a darker beer and it's heavy.
Yeah,
that's
zero relationship.
Okay.
Several traditional styles that are dark are also heavier beers, but the color of the beer has no direct relationship to whether it's heavy or light.
So why that myth? Why that,
I think it's just a lack of information. Part of the reason that the world of beer has sucked for so long is that the mega brewers have basically had a lock on information, and the beer consumer has been fed all this BS, the triple hopped this, the swirly bottle that, the Beechwood whatever, or balsa wood, I don't even know what they use. So the point is that if people don't know a lot about beer, it's hard for them to discern what is BS and what is true. And so it makes it a lot easier to produce really lame advertising if no one knows what you're talking about. So, if the beer drinker is ignorant, then it's very easy to be like, hey, we have this gimmicky contraption that makes our beer better.
By the way, in Weeds, Andy, a big fan.
We're all over Weeds.
We're all over Weeds.
Yeah, actually.
That's what he drinks.
And, Stone doesn't do any paid advertising. We have never paid for advertising in the 15 years we've been around. And the thing with Weeds is crazy, and the producers are just big fans of the beer.
That's amazing.
And they were like, "Hey, we want your beer to be in all the beer drinking scenes," and we made it happen. We give them the beer and some of the the pub signs.
You can just let us
like
know
that.
if you want your beer to be in any of our drinking scenes. We have drinking scenes here
every day.
nightly.
I could potentially be persuaded,
Yeah.
although after the story about the $300 bottle of scotch being consumed in bed with fistfuls of ice, I don't know. It's important to me that our beer is treated well. Speaking of which, let's move on to what we have in our glass here. So this is Arrogant Bastard Ale, which is one of our major beers. And this is, as I mentioned, the beer that started the American Strong Ale category.
I like this one a lot.
So this beer is a lot hoppier than the Highway 78. And hops are a flower, a cone that grows on these gigantic vines that are grown primarily in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. And they contribute the bitterness and also the floral and citrus aroma to beer. And this beer, despite its dark color, has a lot of hops in it. It's quite bitter.
I like this
I think
one
I heard
a lot.
Slurping sound
There was a
come
slurp
from your side of the room.
I like this one a lot, actually. Jess.
I like the first one better.
Okay.
Really?
Yes, this
I'm
one's
shocked.
Yeah, this one's
Too hoppy.
too bitter for my taste.
You are not worthy.
Uh-oh.
This is a great beer, actually. In all seriousness, I mean, this is a great beer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it. I mean, I think it's a great beer too. This was one of the first craft beers I ever had because the label sold me. I thought the name was hilarious.
Right.
And I was like, all right, I'm semi-sold. And I picked up the bottle and I read the back label, and it just had me laughing out loud. And so that was one of the first craft beers I purchased.
What does it say on the back label?
Oh, I think you should read it.
All right.
Put on your reading glasses, Joss.
Do you have reading
What am I, 92? What do you mean?
I don't know.
Put on my reading glasses. Oh, my goodness. Okay, this is an aggressive ale. You probably won't like it. It is maybe I need reading glasses. It is quite doubtful that you have the taste or sophistication to be able to appreciate an ale of this quality and depth. We would suggest that you stick to a safer, more familiar territory, maybe something with a multi-million-dollar ad campaign aimed at convincing you it's made in a little brewery, or one that implies that their tasteless, fizzy yellow beverage will give you more sex appeal. Perhaps you think multi-million-dollar ad campaigns make things taste better.
Obviously, we were talking about Axe there, right?
Yes.
This was long before that abomination existed. Sorry, continue.
It's okay. Perhaps you're mouthing the words as you read this. At Stone Brewing, we believe that pandering to Lowe's common denominator represents the height of tyranny, a vital form of keeping the consumer barefoot and stupid. Brought forth upon the unsuspecting public in 1997, Arrogant Bastard Ale openly challenged the tyrannical overlords who were brazenly attempting to keep America's chained and shackled of poor taste. This is very funny. It's very long, so I can't keep reading, but really.
So can you explain what the gargoyle is?
Yes, and why the gargoyle?
So the gargoyle is our protector. So gargoyles.
Obviously, they were fans of the mid-'90s cartoon that
you're
aired
not
on the
worthy.
Disney Channel.
It does say you're not worthy.
No. The gargoyle is.
So the gargoyle is traditionally when it's on the side of a building, it's meant to ward off evil spirits. And for Stone, it wards off the evil spirits of adjuncts, preservatives, anything that dumbs down our beer. So that's why we have the gargoyle on there. It keeps the crap out of the bottle.
I love the gargoyle.
I like him.
It loves you back.
You know, people think they're evil. They're not evil.
No, they're not evil. They're meant to scare away evil spirits, which is why they look so creepy.
Yeah. As I would know from the mid-'90s cartoon Gargoyles. Big fan of that. So I really like this one.
To know.
Just listening.
Clearly you are worthy and have the taste and sophistication to appreciate an ale of this depth and quality.
What's the most popular beer that sells for
I think it would be Stone IPA, which we're going to have in a minute, but Arrogant Bastard Ale would probably be a close second.
I just got a message saying, are you going to test the Stone IPA?
We are.
Which I really like the Stone IPA when I tasted it at Blog World.
All right, well, we'll test that contention again tonight and see if you guys are up to task for that. Actually, we brought a bunch of beer tonight. We also have Ruination IPA and Stone Sublimely Self-Righteous Ale. Ruination is a double IPA, and it's really a lot to handle.
And you describe...
What does IPA stand for?
It means India Pale Ale.
And it's the way that it's brewed. And it goes back to how...
to the 19th century.
When they were bringing, going over it was the way that it was brewed on the boats. Am I wrong? Am I so off?
Yeah, you have
picture
the drunk memory of this conversation.
I picture Captain Hook brewing beer.
Brewed on the boats.
I don't know. Something about boats?
Not so much. You do have the boats thing. There is a boat component to this story. But, it's funny, actually, that conversation we had, I don't remember who the other guy was that was here. Okay.
Yeah,
that guy. I mentioned India Pale Ale, and he said, what does this beer have to do with India? And it's funny because no one ever asks that question, right? They just kind of nod their head. And
he thought they were enslaved.
Well, there are,
Indians.
right? So the point, the story behind the beer is that when the British colonized India, they sent over a ton of troops, and those troops wanted to continue having the beer like they had back home. What turned out though was that just sending over the regular beer in the hull of a 100-degree boat for 6 months made the beer taste not so great when it arrived a lot of the time. And so the beers that ended up tasting a lot better were the ones that were really hoppy, because hops are a natural preservative, and all of that flavor masks some of the off flavors.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so they ended up brewing the beer to the specifications of what tasted better once it arrived in India, and so they called them India Pale Ales. And so, as the other gentleman pointed out, this was the beer that was, fueling the oppression of an entire subcontinent. But you know what? Oppressing an entire subcontinent is thirsty work. So I don't really know how you can blame them.
You know what I wanted to ask? How, compared to how it tasted then, how accurate is the flavor to what it was
That's a very difficult question.
Because
you'll
hear,
he wasn't
the
around
brew
back then.
No, but you'll hear, this
look
brew's
like?
been around for 400 years. Some
Right.
companies advertise. But how accurate is the flavor compared to what it was when it was originally brewed? I'm sure it wasn't. It's evolved.
Yeah. So I can tell you with 100% certainty that anybody who claims that their beer now tastes like it did 400 years ago has a marketing department that is running the slogan writing territory there, because that's definitely not the case. So we know for sure that the recipes at a lot of these breweries have changed over time. There are archives that we can dig into that show the recipes, and the ingredients change based on scarcity and cost and all kinds of stuff like that. During World War II in Britain, the alcohol content of beer went down dramatically. And that sort of defined the style of British brewing for a long time, and still has in many ways. But with IPAs specifically, we actually brewed a beer last year, our 14th anniversary beer, that was kind of designed to recreate a historic IPA. And our brewmaster and head brewer actually went to England and dug through the archives to try to figure out what these beers were like, and we produced what was essentially a modern interpretation of that. So it's impossible to replicate exactly, because methods are just so different.
I don't think I would want the same flavors as that. I imagine everything's so harsh.
Yeah.
Like one company claims, from the 1500s, they follow a specific law or whatever.
They don't do that.
And I'm thinking, this cannot have tasted like that in 1520 or whatever it is.
Definitely did not
taste like that in
1520. I mean, one of the things to remember, in case you're getting nostalgic for the old days of brewing, keep in mind that most beer at that point was not brewed in a sanitary brewery. Yeah. So it all got infected with bacteria.
And they didn't drink it cold. Like it wasn't ice cold.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was pretty hard to refrigerate much of anything, never mind beer. And actually, in some cases, they would heat up beer and use it as almost like a hot cocktail.
Yeah.
And so
where the hell did that come from?
I think there's a lion on the other side of it.
It might be
about to eat me alive.
Oh, that's Robbie.
Yeah,
Robbie,
our lion.
Your neighbor is barking at
my
me.
Neighbor.
Our lion.
Yeah. But yeah, so we live in the best time ever to be a beer drinker. This is without question the best time in human history to be a beer lover. Undoubtedly.
Why is this the best time?
Because there is more great beer available than at any time ever, and there's more variety.
And there's more crappy beer available as well.
There is by volume.
Can I ask why have the lesser flavored beers become the mainstream?
Right.
So why is that? Why has that happened?
There's two parts to that answer. One is that it's essentially the legacy of Prohibition. So when Prohibition happened, almost every brewery in the country shut down except for a very small number. And then after that, after Prohibition ended, the breweries that emerged stronger consolidated with all the other breweries. They bought up all the other breweries and turned them into single brands. So that's how we ended up with these mega brewers.
Okay.
The way those guys captured the market and have held on to it is with essentially monopolistic business practices. They've bought tap handles. They've run all this stuff. They've done things that are
very aggressive.
Aggressive, one might say unethical in many cases. They, a lot of times people have flouted the law in order to own as much market share as possible. And only, because the beer was so dumbed down, did that create room for people who are making great beer to sort of wedge their way into the market.
So they dumbed it down pretty much because they can.
They can. They had a monopoly on the market. I mean, this is a country where two corporations hold over 80% of the market in beer.
Well, one just sold, right? And
well, it's still nonetheless.
Yeah.
So we have,
and that's a weird deal because they claim to be America's beer, but it's not an American company.
Well, actually, neither one are American.
Neither one are American. So, that's interesting.
But that's how they did it. Essentially, was by
that's really interesting.
By muscling out everybody else in the market. Whether that was through legal or illegal means, and then they held on to it and spent a fortune on advertising. And
do you think those guys would ever get into the specialty beers like this?
Oh, they totally are. I mean,
I'm thinking off the top, the big two.
Right. Yeah. So
you think the big two are getting into this?
Oh, they definitely are. I mean, for one, craft beer is only 5% of the market right now. So,
but it's a very dedicated percentage.
Yeah, a very dedicated and very rapidly growing 5%. But they definitely see the writing on the wall. Fizzy yellow beer has been flat or declining every year for the last few years. It's not doing well. Whereas craft beer is growing double digits every year. And so they totally see where this is going, and you now have lunar-themed Belgian-style wit beers, which I won't name, which are utter bullshit and are a sad shadow of a real version of that beer. But you'll notice that they don't put the name of the mega brewer on those beers, right?
Oh, that's interesting.
And the mega brewers have dozens of these brands.
Wow. Okay. So they pretend to be a
little brewery with a cute logo that's made in some idyllic New England town, when in reality it's all made in the same plant.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Dozens of these brands. And so what they do is they make these beers to take up shelf space, essentially, and also to fool consumers into thinking that they're buying. It's like, oh, I heard that this whole craft beer thing is really cool right now. I'll try a craft beer. And they go to the supermarket and there's, something with whatever. It's a deceptive logo, and it doesn't say that it's made by the big brewers. And, it's essentially a cheap knockoff of the good stuff. And so someone ends up sadly shelling out $8 or $9 for these
that's really
beers.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
That said, they are capable of making great beer. They have the best technology in the world. They have all the money in the world. They could easily make great beer if they wanted to, but they choose not to. And that's because they want to make beer that appeals to the greatest number of people. And in order to appeal to the greatest number of people, you have to make something that essentially tastes like nothing. So, maybe they'll come around. But personally, I would prefer that we just go back to the way it was before Prohibition, when almost every neighborhood in town had its own brewery.
So I have a question for you.
Yes, I potentially have an answer for you.
Some of the German beers and some of the Dutch beers, the two big ones. And I guess maybe it might be that the Belgian beers as well. I get horrible headaches from them.
That's because you drink too much of them.
No, even if I have one. Even if I have one
That's
of them.
That's because you're a lightweight.
Because no, but I'm not drunk, but they give me, I get...
Are you drunk right now?
A little bit. A little drunk. But I feel... I get a horrible headache from them, and I can't figure out what it is. And it's always the two brands. It's the two, the Dutch brand and the German brand that are out in the market. I get horrible headaches from them, and it's to the point where I can't drink them ever. And the other night I had one, and I said, "Oh my God!" Halfway through, I had a headache.
Yeah.
And
but every time you always forget that you order it, and I always go, "Are you sure?" Because
I want to be cool and I want to fit in with everybody else.
Is this really the green bottle? Is that
yeah?
Is that your thing?
Both the
you
two
think
green
it makes you look cool, man?
Yeah.
Come
I
on.
don't know, because everybody else is ordering it, and
if everyone else,
if I got a natty light, I wouldn't fit in.
Those. If you want, here I'll let you guys in on a secret.
Yeah.
The import beers, that come in the fancy bottles or whatever, the ones that are like $9 or $10 a 6-pack.
Yeah.
If you want to have a beer that tastes just like that, buy the big domestic beers and then leave the beers on the dash of your car for like 4 or 5 days, then stick them in the refrigerator and drink them. And you've effectively replicated the process of them shipping crappy beer from Europe in an unrefrigerated boat to the U.S. And so the taste that you're getting from those beers that is different from the American beers is what is skunk, essentially. It's the ingredients in those beers going bad. And it's amazing. One of the mega brewers actually did a focus group where they blind poured these beers, and they put some of those off flavors in their regular beers, and people thought they tasted more expensive. So the worse the beer, the more expensive it tastes.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's all about perception. They have people have become accustomed to bad beer, and in fact, worse beer than they could get here.
That's fascinating.
So if you'd like to avoid paying more, I recommend ruining your beer and then drinking it, and you'll get the import experience.
I'm going to be using all these facts for my party on Sunday. So
I could make you some green bottle beer by Monday.
Yeah.
And the thing about the green bottle is that you have to beer should be in a brown bottle, because the brown bottle prevents ultraviolet light from coming in. Green or clear bottles don't do that at all. They let the ultraviolet light come right in, and that's where you get that skunked off flavor from, and also the heat.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So let's try one more. What do you think? One more.
Okay.
I get drunk.
Speaking of your 4th of July barbecue, there are phenomenal breweries here in the New York area that you could totally have their beer at your barbecue instead of going with the mass-produced national stuff. It doesn't have to be Stone beer.
Well, there's Brooklyn Lager.
Well, they make more than just lager. They make a ton of different beers. There's also 6 Point Brewing in Brooklyn, which is an outstanding brewery that just released their beer in cans. And those are very good beers. There's also Kelso in Brooklyn, which I think is only draft only, but I'm sure you're gonna have hundreds of people here, so a keg maybe wouldn't be out of line. And then in Westchester,
Thousands.
naturally,
Millions.
every viewer will be here.
GFQ
All
family.
300 million. The entire country is coming to my barbecue.
Well, I guess I'll miss it. And also in Westchester County, Captain Lawrence Brewing Company, they do outstanding.
And there's a couple
stuff.
on the island. There's a couple of breweries on the island.
Are there?
Yeah. Which one is?
So like something in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name of it, but
Oh yeah.
I forgot.
I've heard of a few. I think they're newer though. You know, it's really hard to keep track. There are new breweries opening all
we
the
need one in
time.
Queens.
Queens Brewery.
We need Queens Brewery.
Yeah.
Guys from Queens Brewery.
We have a hop master.
We have a hot master.
All right.
Hot master flux.
If you guys have $1 million,
Yeah.
I will start a brewery for you.
I like it.
We could possibly do something.
Yeah. All right.
So what's the last
Yes.
one?
Let's crack
Last
something
beer.
open here. Well, we have 2 in the freezer, which I should probably get out because they might be freezing at this point.
No, I'll grab them.
All right. So there's in the freezer, we have Stone IPA and Stone Sublimely Self-Righteous Ale. So I think we're gonna go with the IPA next.
Okay.
We're about to hit a run of hoppy beers here, so this isn't strictly the way it should be done. But
Now, the beer that we just tried, is there citrus in that?
there's no actual citrus in it, right? These
Because I'm
beers are
tasting something that it almost tastes like lemon zest or lemon like rind,
awesome.
almost like when you put it in
like definitely.
baking. That's what I taste.
That's very perceptive. Yeah, there are hot.
I'm good at this.
Yes,
I could be
much better than he is.
I could be
I taste smoke.
beer taster.
Where's my
fire?
shocker? Why can't I shock him when he gets it wrong?
Was there a fire while
In the beer, yeah, we actually lit a fire in the beer. No, so what you're tasting are hops. American hops are generally talked about as being citrusy. People talk about grapefruit rind or citrus rind or lemon,
rind.
all that stuff. Totally.
I thought that was like a stupid thing to say, which is why I didn't say it right away.
It is in fact not a stupid thing to say.
Okay.
So you nailed it.
That's good.
And that's very common of hoppy American beers. You're gonna get that citrusy flavor to it. So if that's what you like, go for American IPAs because you're gonna get that all day. Ignore beers that have citrus on the lip of the glass or whatever. That is not the same experience.
Not so great.
And I recommend not doing that. So here, let's crack these up.
Now, do any of your beers come with any sort of garnish?
God, no.
Is that anything that you should be doing to your beer?
What kind of
general?
garnish?
Well, I'm saying in general, there's a lot of beers that you're supposed to garnish
like a
with.
lime.
Sometimes you garnish with a lime. Some beers you garnish with an orange. So I'm asking, is there ever?
Marketing.
Okay, so there's never a time where you should be garnishing your beer with anything. I like to garnish my beer with eclairs. No.
Eclairs.
For me, it's just Fabergé.
Fabergé eggs.
Baklava.
All right. So
so
which
now we're
one is
having
this one? This is
IPA.
the Stone IPA.
Sip.
I'm afraid to say it's a lighter color that I'm gonna get it wrong. Am I
Well,
right?
yes, honey. This is lighter than the others.
I don't know. A
Lighter in
golden
color. Lighter in color.
Is it a lighter beer?
No.
No. Okay.
It's not a lighter beer.
I'm afraid to get yelled at by the hop master.
All right. So, Stone IPA is very much an American IPA. It is light in color. It's pretty dry. There's minimal sweetness in this beer, and it is really hoppy. We use a ton of hops in it. So give it a sniff, and let's
Smells
hear.
fruity.
All right.
Am I right?
Stealing.
Am I right there?
Yeah, I think you're just imitating her at this point, aren't you?
I smell zest and what is that word you use? Ridge?
Rind.
Rind?
Really?
I don't know what she
That was
said.
a tough one.
I wasn't listening. I had no idea what she was saying.
Well, you totally missed the aroma of unicorn tears. I mean, that was right in there, and I didn't hear anyone pull that out.
Okay, this is bitter. It's a bitter beer.
Definitely, as it should be.
Yeah.
Bitterness is really an underserved flavor in our cooking and whatever. I mean, there's so much sweet stuff out there that people who like bitterness, like black coffee and things like that, really don't have a lot of options. And IPAs have taken off. I mean, they are the fastest growing segment in craft beer. People love bitter beers. And, I'm sure you remember that ad for the BS beer a while back that was like the never bitter beer or whatever, as though that were a good thing. And you know what? I don't want a bitter beer every single time.
Barely bitter.
But
that was it. Barely bitter
and
beer.
the guy made the screwed up face when he drank like the other company's bullshit beer. That was. Am I allowed to curse? I don't remember.
No, you could curse.
Okay,
It's fine.
sorry.
The FCC's not going to come after you.
All right. But yeah, you know.
But I like the bitter beers. I like it.
As
I
do
like
I.
it. I like it. You know.
You should like it.
I think we're accustomed to just. It's almost flavorless
It
beer,
is.
and that's what we're so used to, right? With all of them. Even the ones that have a different taste are still flavorless. It's
Right.
water.
It's all variations on nothing essentially, and you know that's a shame because people thought so
That's
many
what
people
beer
think
is.
that's beer, you know, and this tastes like beer, and there's a beer flavor and a beer aroma and whatever, and really what those things are you know flavors of cheap additives,
Yeah.
and the aromas of brewing for efficiency rather than for flavor. So. Unfortunately, we're crawling out of the miserable hole that we've been stuffed into with beers like this, and for many other great breweries. But you know, we still have a long ways to go. 95% of the beer consumed in this country is still the fizzy yellow stuff.
So, Jess, you would drink this.
Yeah, I like this.
See?
Well, as you can see,
she in fact is drinking it.
She
I
is.
actually am drinking it. This is way more than a sip.
This has
that
gone
he had-
beyond the tasting.
Yes, I went beyond the tasting. So this is good.
I like this one the best. I said that before,
We're not done.
but
And
now,
I do
but now I
taste
like
the
this
unicorn
one the best.
tears.
The
Yeah.
unicorn tears are
You
very
not
nice.
taste the unicorn tears? All right. Well, the next one has got leprechaun in it, so
That's
prepare.
nice.
Yeah.
When you guys are setting up the new style of beer, how do you prepare for that launch? Do you do extensive tasting? Do you?
Yeah. So we generally do a pilot batch, which is essentially a homebrew size batch of what we're looking to make.
Yeah.
And then if that goes well, we scale it up and do a full version. Or, if we decide we want to tweak it a little more, we might make a few pilot batches before we arrive at ultimately what we're going for.
And you tweak it, and who tests out the batches? Employees?
Andrew's looking for a job.
Because this is this is the type of job.
That's
job I
actually
would need.
not a full-time job.
Yeah. Oh.
So everybody essentially does this. All the brewers have a tasting panel every day, actually. Not just for pilot batches, but for all the beers we make to see if there's anything going wrong, if there's any changes. Essentially, once you settle on a style or, that like Stone Pale Ale, you really want it to taste like Stone Pale Ale every single time. And so, these, our brewers are trained in sensory evaluation, and they can tell if anything is changing or going.
That's going to be my next question. How do you evaluate that every batch that you make for the next, X amount of years is going to taste the same?
Well, you have a taster.
Yeah, so, we have
A
many
taster.
tasters, and we, the entire brewing team essentially are tasters, and
but they're able to tell that it's a very small, difference in the taste. They're able to tell that.
Yeah, they should. I mean, if everything is working as planned. We also have archived. Sorry, I'm going to burp into your microphone. It's disgusting. No spit up though. Don't worry.
That's fine.
So yeah, I mean, we have archived versions of these beers, so you can kind of taste it versus the last, 10 batches or whatever, and see if there's any progression or change or whatever, anything we need to correct. But there's also automated versions of all these things. Like you can have a machine that will sniff the beer and tell you what's in, et cetera. We don't have one of those, but we have people that do it instead, and it works pretty well. You can tell if you're really trained in this, like slight variations really seem like a big deal.
So would you hire Andrew to be your? Because
That's
he's
definitely not.
so obvious that he's amazing at
I
this.
think we need more smokiness.
Yeah, that comment actually would not get you very far.
No.
I want to be a beer taster.
We need fire.
Well, I think you
Fire.
are being a beer taster right now. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess. But I want it to be my full-time.
Full-time gig.
Position.
From a person who, for not too long ago, was not a beer drinker, that's quite the statement.
Right?
All right, let's
Converted you,
taste one
clearly.
more. and
Stone
then we
beer
gotta-
makes me want to be a beer taster.
Very
now that's
good.
a slogan.
Yeah,
That's a
almost
slogan.
as good as "It's not awful."
It's not awful.
Got a ring to it.
Yeah.
It's not. People are commenting on your hair, Jess, by the way. They're saying you
Bad?
have very nice hair today.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good.
Your hair is
She's
very
about
nice
to freak out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
All right, let's taste one more, and then we have to start wrapping it up because we have to start the free
I
fall.
thought this was the last one. Now we're doing
No,
another
we
one.
do-
Well, we
one
actually
more.
have two more. Come on.
Which one do you think?
we have to
what do
choose
you
just one.
Yeah, unfortunately.
All
The next show
All right.
starts in 8
We're gonna
minutes.
go with Ruination, Stone
All right.
Ruination IPA, because
All right,
you
Joss.
guys have been responding well to this stuff. All right, where's the dump bucket here?
Are there a lot of
Dump kitty cat mug.
IPAs on the market? I mean, how many IPAs are there? Hundreds of them.
Yeah. So it's a very popular style, and growing for sure.
By the way, probably by the end of the free for all, I'm gonna drink that.
What the? Ew.
Yeah, I might.
Oh.
If there's no beer left.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pour.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna pour that down the drain. Not okay.
So the other one is also an IPA, but it's a different IPA.
This is a double IPA.
Double IPA.
Is this the classiest tasting you've ever created?
Yeah.
I just tell you like the picture of what we have going here. We have a kitty cat mug, which is our dump bucket. We're reusing glasses. I have extra glasses, but we have not used them.
That's okay.
We have the glasses, the bottles of beer that are chilling in a 4-cup measuring cup and a Crate and Barrel like rooster bowl.
So this one, this is a darker color.
Slightly.
Oh
Slightly,
my God,
slightly.
with the color. Enough.
This is the only thing I could evaluate, Jess. I could only evaluate color.
You
Let
keep
me have
nailing
this.
it though. You can tell
Yeah,
the difference
yeah.
between dark and light though.
Yeah.
So I think.
Good job.
It's a purple beer.
So this is a Stone Ruination IPA is a double IPA. So it's an amped up version of a regular IPA. This beer is super citrusy, really hoppy, high alcohol, a lot of flavor. It's called Ruination because of the ruinous effect it has on your
Oh,
palate.
wow.
So
Yeah,
it's-
this
we
is
get a lot of that
lot
reaction.
stronger.
Oh,
It's
you're
a
like
lot to
tearing.
handle.
Am I?
Yeah. You're like, whoa.
It might be my eye. No, this one is a stronger flavor. It's a much stronger flavor.
Yeah.
And what's the process like for making, for creating this beer opposed to the other one?
Well, you
What-
certainly are using more of everything, essentially,
Okay.
and it's got having more alcohol means it has more malt in it as well, and so there's a little bit more sweetness in this to sort of blend with that alcohol.
Yeah, I was
as well.
actually going to say that because you had said that the hops is what makes it have that like rind taste.
Yeah.
This actually kind of goes so far to the rind that you actually taste the fruit again.
right.
Like you taste
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that orange or like a lemon even.
Yeah, totally. Extremely perceptive.
I like this one too.
Yeah, this is a beast.
Out of all of them, which one was your favorite?
I think this one.
This one. More than the other
I
one.
think
More than
this
the regular
one and the,
Stone
and the
IPA.
third. The third and this one, right? We had 4 beers.
Not the Stone IPA.
The one that we had right before this
Yeah.
and this one.
Okay. Both IPAs. Okay.
There you go. So you found your style.
I like
clearly.
that.
Yeah.
Good times.
So
That's a win.
so now you're gonna go and ask for an IPA.
Yes.
Do you have any IPAs? No. Okay.
That's it.
I'm not having it.
You'll have to go select
And
establishments.
I'm gonna say,
to ask that
do you have
question.
any smokiness?
Yeah.
Any smoke?
There are great smoked beers out there. I mean, you could get some for your
These are
barbecue.
just not them.
Yeah,
these
none
are-
of these are those
Yeah.
beers. But
See, we should have asked him what he tastes in each of them.
I'll be
Dude, we
horrible.
I
What do
know.
all right, let's hear it. Dig deep. What are the layers here? Take it apart.
Wheatgrass,
Okay. My God.
vinegar,
And
and
spray paint.
Spray paint. Midget toes.
Eye of Newt.
Play-Doh.
Newt.
Play-Doh.
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 Like the philosopher or like the...
As in the philosopher. As in the philosopher.
You've tasted the.
Yeah.
All right.
yeah.
Never mind.
He's in here. He's in here somewhere. Well, we did a story yesterday. A certain type of shot that's on the market now.
Mm-hmm.
It was in England. I don't want to repeat it. It's a family-friendly show, but they did involve.
What family is sitting down and watching this show?
Trust me, there are somewhere in the Midwest. There's a family.
We don't judge. We just are telling the truth.
It was New Zealand. They have a horse semen shot.
Yes.
Oh, I
horse
heard
semen
about
shots.
this. Yeah.
I don't
This
know.
was on the interwebs.
Why
Yeah.
would anybody drink that?
You're asking the wrong guy, man.
Why?
I'm like a nerd for drinks, and these people, yeah, it's just not in my
Oh,
realm
yeah.
of possibility. Although,
Yeah.
anything to reduce the wrinkles.
I guess.
Heard it's
guess.
actually really good for
Yeah.
that. But I heard that was like rubbing it on your face.
From who?
There was a there. I will tell you where actually.
One of her
on
friends.
the travel station.
boyfriend told me it's great for my face.
On the travel station, there was this like show where it was like talking about like odd and bizarre things that other cultures use to stay young.
Mm-hmm.
And it was either China or Thailand or something like that. And they had like this cream that was made from like some animal semen.
Panda semen.
And it was it wasn't
extract
pandas. I
that?
wanted to say it was like birds, but it was like something that you like all birds, and you like rubbed it on your face, and they swore that it made you look younger.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you do that job for a year, we'll give you the job as the beer taster. How about that?
All right.
Excellent. We got to wrap it up. Stone Brewing Company, I want to thank them for sending
thank
Jacob
you
over
very
to
much.
be here. This was great. We had a great time. We have a couple of beers here we're going to drink during the free-for-all.
Yes.
And I will be drunk by the end. So be sure to tune in because by 8:15, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. So, and I have no notes, so it should be fun. Jacob, thank you so much.
Hey,
Yes,
thanks
thank
for having
you.
me. I love being on the show.
Thank you. And Jess, thank
Appreciate
you for being here.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I don't know. Yeah,
She came in from the next room.
All right, I'm going to go drink my beer. I'll see you guys.